This is Comics Newswire giving you the buzz coming off the wire about the comic book industry. Turn that volume up and give us a few minutes to keep you in the loop of everything going on in the industry today.
Hello, everybody, and yes, I'm wearing a shirt. I'm sorry to disappoint those who are expecting a shirtless me. I will be starting a fans-only site where I will read comic books wearing no shirt. That's not today, of course. We're excited to talk about the Comics Newswire, which is now breaking into 2 days. If you are looking for Phil the Demon's, what was it, the demonic Demon's Pit, I'm sorry to say bad news. I actually kind of asked him if I could take this time up. The reason was Tuesday's show with the news was just too jam-packed. It was hard to cover everything. So from now on Tuesdays, we're going to talk about indie comics. On Thursdays, we're going to talk about more entertainment and mainstream. Josh will head up the show with me on Tuesdays. On Thursdays, we're going to have a new actual co-anchor. You're going to find out who he is next week. But this week, one of the breaking news stories of the week, or over the past few months, this one's big. We have the right guests for you today to see what I'm talking about. So this is going to be great because we have Frankie Morris and we have Meredith Logren. And am I saying that right? Your last name?
Morris, yes, that's right.
Oh, Brian.
Logren. Logren. Logren.
Because I always see Ran and my mind is stuck at Ran.
It's an Irish name, so it doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't sound like how it's spelled.
Sounds like me. I'm Irish. So now,
So if you think about running lake, and you think Logren.
So the big news is Terraform Comics.
Yes.
So you guys, let's go around the room and talk about this. You guys have heard me talk about it. Luke couldn't make it today. We're trying to get Barry and Eric in. I know it's a Friday, so they're out. But actually, Luke's on vacation. God bless him. Let him get it in before there are no more vacations. I heard COVID's coming for vacations next. So we're going to let Brian talk about his involvement in the industry. By the way, I'm the logistics guy. That's a fancy way of saying when there's a fire, I have to figure out how to put it out. That's basically my job. So while Meredith wrote this really nice thing about me having a voice, I'm not the voice for Terraform Comics. The person who's the voice for Terraform Comics is actually Brian K. Morris.
Hi there, I'm Brian K. Morris of Rising Tide Publication, but my new gig is Terraform Comics, where I'm something called a liaison. And I think what that means is that I'm going to be interacting with you, the public, and delivering news to you about Terraform Comics, answering questions when I can. And I've also got my hands in a few other pies here, such as editorial side and everything. Plus, I'm writing the brand new feature, Scarlet Trace, for Terraform Comics, and Luke Stone will be my artist, and it's going to be pretty darned awesome. I've started writing it this week, so we're going to be having some fun with this one. So that's what I do around here.
And now Meredith's an unsung hero. She calls herself the comics noob, but there's nothing noob about what she does for us. An amazing job keeping our social media streaming and keeping us basically on point as Brian clears his lens.
You didn't see anything. You saw nothing.
I heard it. But no, Meredith has done an amazing job. She's building the website. She's doing all this stuff that honestly a lot of us don't want to do. She's an unsung hero. This is Meredith. Tell them who you are.
I am doing all the dirty work. Well, not all of it, but I am Meredith Logren, and I am the social media director of Terraform Comics. And I also am a contributing writer and one of the associate editors of Geek Insider, as well as the editor-in-chief of another site, Wild One Forever, which has nothing to do with comics. So we're just going to move forward. So with the social media director ship that I'm doing is I'm reaching out to a lot of the podcasts and the other comic book news agencies and sites who will actually help us promote Terraform and keep them in the news cycle, as well as building up our social media, our platform. We have Facebook, we have YouTube. No, we don't have YouTube. We discussed that. We have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We're trying to grow all of those, as well as, very importantly, getting people to sign up for our newsletter on the website. So get there, sign up, and be a part of the team.
And now, as far as the YouTube goes, the reason we're not doing a YouTube is I do want to talk about this right now, and I'm going to give you some of my news. That's why I made myself bigger. Not because I'm any more important than either of these two or anyone else I'm involved with, but this is news about me. So for once, this actually makes sense that I can have this. And my OnlyFans will be starting next week. I got to make money somehow. I didn't realize you take your shirt off and you make so much money. I get it, girls. I get it now. No, seriously, this is a new show. Every Thursday, you'll get more entertainment. This week, because we spent so much of Tuesday's conversation about the abuse in the industry, and then went on to entertainment, and we had trouble loading the indie part of the conversation, I realized I needed two shows, and I went to Demon Phil, and I was like, I need a favor. I was like, I can move you on to Saturdays. Saturdays didn't work for him. He didn't want to do a Sunday show. He said, you know what? Do me a favor. Promote everything I got coming out. You know, talk about it when I'm running a show. You do that, and I'm cool. Take the time. And I was like, you sure? He's like, yeah. So thank you, Phil, for allowing me to expand our news to two programs. Because you know what? Indie does deserve its own news show. You're going to see the Comics Newswire as our brand. That's always going to be what this is. It's just two different shows, 2 different days. The reason for this, also splitting the news, is because independent creators sometimes get lost in the shuffle. Like when I have guests on, or if I have my co-host, he might want to go to Batman right away and how something's going on with Batman. This show slows it down for independent creators. We're going to have guests on. We're going to make it interesting. And I wanted this to start with Terraform, because I think Terraform is the ultimate new news. Can you guys explain? A lot of people are pushing back because it's not my job. I don't really like talking about the business model. I just don't. But I know that both of you are instrumental in the wording of our mission statement. Do you want to just give people an idea off the top of your head about our mission statement? And for the record, my lights are out. I apologize. It is still hot. The AC, it's just 100 degrees down here, and I was told my AC is going to struggle to stay anything above below 80 in my house because it's a little older. So I'm trying to cut down on the heat with the lack of lights. So this isn't Rob After Dark. I will get to you in a moment about new shows coming. But first, I did want to talk about the impact that Terraform Comics is going to have from all of your point of views. Brian?
Well, actually, I think I'd like to start with Meredith because she will know the closer to the wording of our mission statement and all, but I'd be glad to follow her in this.
Actually, if you go to terraformcomics.com and you go to our mission, we have Luke Stone's own words here. And if I can read them, I will. So Terraform Comics is not a work for situation. It's a work with situation. We've seen the problems of becoming too fixed on a traditional publishing method. Our goal is to help other like-minded creators meet their comic career goals, and we understand that not every creator or title needs the same exact treatment. Our process begins with finding the right fit. What does that mean? That's a fair question. Terraform Comics seeks to work with professionals who are in line with our work ethic and drive to bring quality comics to the masses. From there, we will use our experience and professional relationships to put the creator and the project in front of several comic news outlets. We use those connections to drive awareness and sales. Beyond the business connections, we help foster the community connections too. Fans back creators who are passionate about their work. Our goal is to extend our knowledge to give these creators the best chance to thrive in the marketplace. We do this through mentorship and guidance on the best practices of selling your books at conventions and local shops, and by tapping into our growing network of friends and fans. Our distribution channels are growing every day, and we have relationships to get our creators' books into more hands than they can do on their own. All of this is based on the right fit. Some creators don't need a publishing partner and are quite successful on their own. We applaud those successes. For those who need a family behind them, Terraform Comics is here. We are changing the landscape of comics.
I think that's very important, especially the part about changing the terrain here. A lot of people have this idea that just because it is not DC, it's not Marvel, it's not Image, that it's amateur. And I don't think that's, that could be further from the truth. There is a lot of great material being put out from the independent leagues. In fact, a number of people who are names in mainstream comic actually are coming back into the independent field to do their own thing. They build their name up in the big leagues and they come back to where they can own a bigger piece of the pie, which is pretty important as far as what we feel here at Terraform. We are not out to seize somebody's intellectual property. We are just simply out to produce the best comics we know how to do and to partner with people who also have that idea that they want to put out great comic books. And we want to use our combined experience to help them do so. And we already just straight out of the gate, we started taking submissions even before we have our own things out into the marketplace, which, by the way, we are going to be relying on a number of different ways to get comics to the reader in the most efficient way possible. And in a way that will also create a profit for the creators. But getting back to the quality of the books, we are looking for pro caliber people, and we do have some people who have mainstream reputations that are, their work has been coming through our offices, our virtual offices, if you will. And so, and we treat them all as if they are mainstream too. So it doesn't matter if you have mainstream credits or not. We want to look at your work. We want to see if maybe we can help you bring it to a larger audience. And down the road, we're probably going to be offering like maybe some sort of maybe editorial service or something. Not sure about that, but that's down the road. But right now we are interested in working with people that want to produce great comic books. And we want to do the same ourselves.
Brian, do you want to make the announcement of what's on the screen? You can see the screen, right?
I can see the screen. Yes, sir. Oh, yes. Pardon me while I squint. I don't wear these glasses just because they bring character to my face. Thank you. Austin Janowski brings Dawn and the Dead to Terraform Comics. Austin Janowski has worked for Marvel and some of the other mainstream publishers, and now he's got, I believe it's like his own little movie series going called Dawn and the Dead. And we are publishing a prequel to what Austin is putting out. Austin's also a very talented filmmaker. And I was one of the proofreaders on it, and it's quite exciting. And we're really flattered that Austin trusts us with his brainchild there. But yes, probably one of our first releases will be Dawn and the Dead, not to be confused with Dawn of the Dead. But anyway, Austin's a great guy and a fantastic storyteller. I think people are really going to be knocked out when they see this book. It is. I know that I was really digging it, not just from an editorial point of view, but this is the kind of book I want to own. So.
And now, do you guys want to stay with me for the rest of the show and talk about all the other things making news in independent comics?
Sure.
All right, so we're going to dive in. I didn't want to, of course, make this all about Terraform because this is about independent comics. However, we definitely deserve the first quarter of the show because this is going to be a beacon for creators. And I do want to stress that to you. And even with even the moves I have to make now, I have to understand that I'm part of something. And I'll make my announcement now. I don't have any graphics for it. It's so brand new. For those who don't know, 2020 has taken a lot from everybody. One of the things it took for me was my radio program. I did have a radio program at the beginning of the year, and I no longer have a radio program. Varian has asked me to join Indie Vault, and I've told him I would. I always committed to joining Indie Vault for my own show. I just never gave him the show. I kind of went back and forth with what I wanted to do. Of course, when the pandemic happened, we were on all the time. And, I felt a little burnt out for a while. So I took a step back and I did an experimental program. It was Comicsgate, talking to SJWs, talking to moderates. I loved that format. From that comes the Devil's Advocate. Now, if you're expecting a slugfest and sarcasm and people shitting on each other, that's not going to be what the show is at all. It's going to be thoughtful conversations. I will be there to push the bounds, to ask the hard questions, and to make sure other sides of the story are represented. How rarely do we actually get both sides of the story? We really don't. So we're going to encourage that. We're going to allow anyone to come on that show. We're going to let anyone who wants to be part of it to be part of it. 2 catches. 1, it's the be civil standard. If you can't be civil and talk to other people, you have no reason to be on the show with me. I won't tolerate that. I want people who can have an honest-to-God conversation and not name call. And so much of the nonsense we see now could be avoided if people didn't name call and just listen to each other. That's the point of the show. It's not an ego show. It's about heart. It's about showing what we believe and talking to each other, and more importantly, hearing each other. And as a host, you will see me probably holding people to their feet to the fire when they're not listening to the people talking. And I'm going to demand a follow-up answer where, no, you didn't listen to what they said, you ignored it. They just said this to address that. That will be the format of the show. That's why it's going to be the devil's advocate. The other part of it is the audience from Indie Vault Radio itself will be picking our topics. We haven't figured out all the logistics. I just got the show approved today. I will have my first show tomorrow night. I have to make some graphics. We'll make an intro video. This is all happening really fast. Tomorrow's show, by the way, we're going to talk about whether it's okay to out people who have done you wrong. From people like Marcel Dupree with all the Kickstarters, to Dirk Manning with all the women, to even other stuff that people are just blanketly accusing people of, many times without actually any proof and just smearing people's names. We're going to talk about that. We're going to look deep into it. We're going to try to figure out, is it okay to actually name names when people are doing bad things? Is that okay? We're going to have a group of people sit down and talk about it. I don't know how it's going to turn out. My biggest goal of that show will be there to stir the conversation, and very often I will try my hardest not to have an opinion till the end of the show. At the end of the show, I'll probably give it to you. If for some reason I am very biased, like if we were to have one about fetish, I would invite Brian K. Morris to be on it. Not only would I think it'd be fun to watch his face turn really red when we talked about some of the more graphic stuff, but on top of it, I wouldn't want to be tainting the pool. That's why the very first time we did this format, and I really fell in love with it, I had my good friend Varian Grant, who's with us in Terraform Comics and who runs Indie Vault Radio. I had him be the actual moderator. People didn't realize that till later. When they asked me, I was like, you don't get it. I wasn't the moderator. I was in the show. I was the moderate of the show. I was the guy who was in between. And they were like, oh, that makes so much more sense. I was like, yeah, I told Varian, cut me off if I go too far. Because sometimes we are passionate. And I need that. I need someone to be like, okay, Rob, calm down, calm down. Now I have Luke and Meredith and Brian and Varian and Eric to tell me when I'm going too far. And they're like, okay, Rob, you got to calm down. You cannot tell him that he has to stick his head up his own ass and then wipe his nose through his mouth. That's not right. That's not how you win an argument, Rob. And I'm like, fine. I'll just tell him to stick something up. That's something else over there. And the whole group goes, well, at least it's progress with Rob. At least it's progress. But no, seriously, that's what we're going to be doing. Now, moving on to other great news. The first big news, kind of different. We have a new look for the comic book advocates. We have chopped down the trees, gotten rid of all the junk, and made it usable. I have been spending years perfecting this site, and every year I've always tried to add a lot of goodies for people. Here's the downside. After polling people for over a year, I found out most people don't come to my site to look at my site. They're brought here by a link. They're brought here for a specific reason, and I don't need to make it fancy and dressed up. I needed to make it load fast. I needed something easy to operate. I need someone to be able to get in and out and to actually look for other things as they needed to. So we dropped a lot of stuff that caused heavier load times. Like right now, you could see the first thing it does, it has to engage the web host. And on my screen, it's a little slower because I came off of a link. So that it's already reloaded. And you didn't even see a glitch. It loads so fast now that as it reloads on its own page, only parts of it change. And that's what we've wanted to go to. We, of course, kept the forecast, although in all honesty, that's a logo I'm going to have to change and get rid of that 2020. There's nothing in 2020. And that's some of our news we're going to talk about in just a second. The Comics News Wire is going to be turned into the Comics Newsroom. This week, I'll basically just go in and change wire to room. It'll basically be able to be a place you'll be able to go to see what we're planning to cover over these 2 shows. And we'll be using the same thread in both of the shows to be able to give people like Brian credit. We're still trying to get Brian to give us a quote every week. We'll get him there. We'll get him to give us a quote. I'll just have to bust his balls and do it in the middle of his show. Hey, Brian, give me a quote. What's this week's news? And I'll just take that as an excerpt. And, of course, we have the alternating weeks of the Kickstarter pause and 7 reasons. New to the shows are to the thing is now the Help Wanted section, the Rise of Indie. Check out the Advocating Network. Get Educated, which is our book list. Be a Pair, and our Facebook group. And, of course, you guys are all part of the Advocating Network. So we didn't need every one of us on the main page anymore. Instead, we have one page that's a directory. I thought that was so much smarter. What do you guys think of the new look of the site?
I like it. I like the clean look. I like the fact that it loads easily, loads quickly, and I can just go to where I need to go if there is something that's of a particular interest in me. For instance, if I wanted to listen to that incredible program, never mind the furthermore, I know where to go. I know what to look for, and I think a lot of people will benefit from it.
Yeah.
I am so thankful that you cleaned it up, because I would go to the site and it was so busy. And, when I'm in front of my screen all day and I'm reading all day, it was a lot of eye candy. And, this is just so much cleaner. It loads faster. It's just so much easier on my eyes. Thank you, Rob.
Well, anyone who knows me knows that this won't be a shock. I hate the way the site looks now. Absolutely hate it.
Good.
But I did it with everyone else in mind. Because remember, with my dyslexia, it becomes harder for me to read on a white screen. So this is actually, believe it or not, so much more difficult for me to deal with now than it was before. I will not catch as many mistakes in the first. It's easy for me, though. There's a quick trick because I'm smart. I just do this. And adding that little bit of color helps my mind focus. What were you going to say, Brian? So you take
I was going to ask if you and I ask this in total ignorance of knowing how to put together a really nice website. What if you were to change the background color all the way through? Do you think that would help you?
I tried it, but then we started to lose some of the other, I like the fact that this is like a simple color. There is something about it I do like. I do like simplicity sometimes. And when I had the feedback that, hey, I'm having trouble loading your site, or I'm having trouble finding, there's so much, especially on the mobile version. The mobile version was just a hot fire for a little while. And I really wanted to put it out, and I just didn't know how to do it. And I kept convincing myself I needed all this sliding stuff and all that. And I finally, on my other sites, I went with a lot more simpler over the last year. It's been very simple. Let's just get it out. Let's make it look pretty and just make it something people enjoy showing up to. Oh, my camera's off. Mm-hmm. I went to go check Jack's. And I was like, you know what? Let me ask them what they want. And I heard it. Fast load times, get me the information quickly and make it easy to read. So that's what it is. Easy to read. We'll go into here in our comics news thing. I also do like that the pictures are a little bigger now in certain areas. So you're going to get bigger context to some of the pictures. I will have to be mindful. You might go to some of the older threads, and they might be really disproportionate now. I apologize for that. But we just don't have it seeking down. But, I mean, I think it flows better. It's got an easier move. Nothing's loaded. And especially with someone who has to do this a lot. And you guys can see, by the way, all these are ending this week. This is just us showing off what it is, because we're still changing some things around. But I'm pretty proud of this. I'm proud of the stuff that we have working on and the things that we're getting done. So this is an older thread. I wanted to use it just to showcase the things that we had going on. But I'm glad you guys liked it, because it was really, really important to me. Now, speaking of things to like, I do feel bad about this. So yesterday, I did a show, and it was a horrible day. And we're going to get into one of the reasons why in just a second. But did you guys saw the video? Did both of you watch it?
For
the shirtless one, the one that I was talking about. So
I felt so inadequate when I was watching that I had to hide my head in shame for all the rest of the evening.
Well, I'm so inspired. I'm showing off my shoulders today.
So okay, here's the story. And this is the truth. Yesterday was a horrible day for me. We'll go over one of the reasons in just a short bit. but I had a air conditioning problem. There was nothing but humidity in the house. It was 84 degrees. It was so hot that I couldn't think about even having this computer on, because this computer's been making problems, and I didn't want any more problems. So I was like, and I had a migraine. Oh my God, like a horrible migraine. It felt like puking. But I commit to doing these shows at 4 p.m. And I don't like not showing up when I say I'm going to be somewhere. And I was like, look, I'll do a 10-minute show. I'll get it done. So right before I go on, I feel nauseous. I feel like I'm going to throw up. And I'm like, I can't do this. I can't have the shirt on. I need it off. I need it off. It's too hot. And I was, when you get so hot in a place you can't breathe if you have a shirt on. So I'm in that moment. So I take it off. And as you guys go live, I'm actually rubbing tears out of my eyes from a horrible migraine. And I start reading everything. So apparently all people looked at was my chest. And mind you, I don't think my chest is anything special. I think I look weak and small and puny compared to what I once did. Like, to me, I'm just like nothing. But like, there were comments made about my boobs, and I was like, God, this is how women feel. I have so many apology letters to write. I've made so many comments, and I was made a piece of meat by Brian K. Morris specifically.
I know. What can I say, Rob? You are a tasty piece of man candy. What can I say? No, the thing was, it didn't bother me. The only thing that bothered me is I didn't realize I came in a few seconds late, so I didn't realize you had a migraine. And I had forgotten that your AC was out. All I saw was your magnificence in front of the camera there. And it put me in mind of this one promoter I used to talk to who would get like this wild hair, like say at 11:30 at night, and decide that he was going to balance his camera on his beer belly. And then, he's entirely shirtless. And then he mumbles into the camera about the great show he's got coming on. And I'm like, put on a shirt first, if nothing else. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna have to sit here and make a list of all the things I'm gonna have to tell Rob to start doing from now on, so that he is slick like me.
No,
but anyway,
and I was embarrassed by it. I'll be honest with you both. I was embarrassed by it. I thought I was gonna get shit for the chest hair. So the first thing I go is, I haven't shaved my chest hair. They're going to bitch about that. People are going to make comments. And you put yourself in a vulnerable position, but it was like, either I commit to doing what I said I'm going to do, or I don't do it. And I committed to it, and I didn't expect what came next. It had 200 views within 6 hours, and I didn't share it. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then I find out, like, I have a couple friends, and this is how your friends are. They call and start commenting. Like, so what do I got to do to get them boobs? And, they're doing inboxes. I'm getting like do you even lift, bro? Like gifts in my actual messenger. No one stopped to ask me, hey, Rob, is your migraine any better? No.
What's going on, Gracie?
Oh, yeah. Rob After Dark.
Like Varian's already said, if you're going to come back on Indie Vault at any point, you realize you can no longer wear a shirt. That is now in your contract. The only show you can wear a shirt on is The Devil's Advocate. I was like, I don't have a contract with you. He's like, you do. You just don't remember you signed it. I was like, what?
You did while you had your migraine. By the way, Rob will be on my show, Clever Title Pending, with Meredith in a couple weeks. Let's see if he remembers to wear a shirt on that one. You're not obligated to, Rob.
Gonna come in like that. No.
That's right, my God. Oh, yeah. Bring the gun show, I'm telling you. No, your chest was fine. You look pretty, in all honesty, you look good. I know it's not up to your standards, but you looked really good on the air. The little bit of hair there on the chest, that was perfectly okay, as opposed to me, who looks more like the reincarnation of Robin Williams.
Of all the conversations I never needed was Brian saying, no, bro, you look good. You look good, bro. But I appreciate it. I'll be honest, I needed kind of an ego boost yesterday after the day I had. So as much as I felt like a piece of meat, I kind of worked it and strutted it. I was like, tell me more. Tell me more.
Yeah, setting back our movement hundreds of years. Thanks for nothing, Rob.
Yeah.
We've burned our T-shirts because of you.
So I was watching, and I was just like, "Oh, okay, he doesn't have a shirt." But I wasn't looking at the nippies until I think Sarah was mentioning the nippies, and then I was just like, "His eyes are up here. His eyes are up here."
Not as far as Sarah's concerned.
I think I made a comment. And you know, like I can't help being a smartass sometimes to my own detriment. And I was like, oh yeah, watch him dance. And I started doing Terry Crews does. And I got a friend who was like, oh honey, where do I give you the PayPal money? I was like, no kid, I have a PayPal. I will walk if it takes me getting on a pole to get through 2020, I'll get on a pole. I don't care. But I did have a big mistake. There was a point in the video where suddenly, I don't know how this happened. I am still racking my brain. In my notes that I was reading, it said error, program error. And I was like, what the hell is that? And I even went back today and looked at it. There was no program error. But there was something wrong. We missed like 3 or 4 Kickstarters on my list. And I felt horrible about that. So today I wanted to take time and I wanted to apologize to Ines and play her video because I felt horrible that we didn't play her video yesterday. So, you know, to show love. And also, Matt, I'm sorry we didn't get to play or talk about Fallen. Also, these 2 were left off the list. Somehow it errored out in the printing and it printed error. And I know older, Brian will probably remember this. Remember the older printers when there was an error, it used to write error on the printout?
Yeah, like the old dot matrix days, yeah.
I didn't realize it still did it every so often. And I knew it was hot, so I figured maybe we had like a power surge at a moment.
Yeah.
And maybe it had a communication error, but it must have missed an entire page, which would have been these 2. We're gonna play an Ines's. I don't know about Matt's song, so I'm not gonna play it right now. But I know Ines actually made a shorter version of the video just based on my recommendations. So how can I not play it? I felt horrible. Ines, I apologize. It was not on purpose. Yesterday was not a banner day, and it wasn't a great day. Here it is. I promise that I'll wear a shirt in the future. Here we go. Well, I'll try.
Ivor is a cyberpunk comic book series based on a love of 80s sci-fi and fantasy fiction. The story is set in the Ardent Nation, an upbeat, stylized technological utopia set in the 23rd century. However, all is not what it seems. Individuality and privacy are rare commodities that only the governing elite are privileged to. So imagine, if you will, social media becoming the governing body of a surviving nation. Everything about you and what you do since the day you were born is automatically streamed onto your timeline. This is then monitored by a totalitarian regime known as Mainframe.
You know, I think it's my fault this isn't the new video, because when we uploaded it, we didn't have the change. My apologies. Here's the new video. Yeah, this is the new video. All right, so here you go, guys. So what do you guys think? A lot quicker, a lot smoother?
I like it. I like it. I think this is one we were looking at when I did the show on Kickstarter a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, this is a quantum leap improvement over the other one, and I can see areas where I could see it easily being turned into what they call it, like a motion comic or whatever. I think that's the next. I think that's the next logical step for it.
I think it's amazing. What do you think, Meredith?
I really like the short condensed version, but I do miss her voice. Well, I think a little bit of an a voiceover would have been really great to kind of tell us a bit about her character. So I think emerging would be really good, but that keeping it nice, short and sweet is amazing. And I love the music. I mean, that's just sitting there and I'm just like, all right, and really good. Very good job.
I was digging the music too. It had kind of an Ultravox kind of vibe to it that I enjoyed.
And it goes with the character. I mean, you're seeing the visuals and everything, and it's just like, all right, I get it. And it gives you that whole body feel, that you're immersed in it. So I really like it.
I love her energy. So nothing. Oh, we don't have our comments on. That's my fault. I love her energy, though. She's got an energy that is just, it's contagious. And her passion for what she's creating. You don't see that with a lot of creators. That to be very passionate, you know what I mean? I was like, there are no comments, and I realized StreamYard forced me to not have comments. Hello, Sarah, by not being public. Glad to have it. Okay, Rob. Good afternoon. I'm not sure what you have, but Rob's actually got a great Kickstarter. Rob, put that link in the comment section so everyone can see it. So we want everyone to have it. Okay, so one of the things we didn't get to see the other day was the Comics News Wire. And here it is now. This is some of the stuff we have going on. Rob, this is Rob's actual book right here, The Night Wolf, the urban fantasy werewolf coming of age drama. Now, I do want to stress this, and I'm gonna drop a link, and anyone can come on the show and do a live actual pitch to us. So we're gonna make this part Shark Tank. This show on Tuesdays, people will be able to come in the middle of the actual show and give us a quick elevator pitch, and we'll tell people if we would tell them to keep walking with us or to hit the bricks. And if we give them more time, they get more time. If they don't get more time, then get a better pitch, mother. That's what it is. That this business ain't happy to have everybody. It ain't soft. This ain't Mr. Softy handing out soft serve, kids. This is hard times sometimes in the indie comics, and that's with 2 E's, not an I. The I makes no sense. No sense at all. All right. So the pitch is out there. Rob, if you want to come in and quickly pitch. But I do stress this to everyone out there in TV land. Make your pitches matter. I can't tell you, I know we all talk about this. We go back and forth for days sometimes on the right feel for something. And me and Brian have talked about different ideas on how to do things for a week. Because sometimes you need to have that right thing. And he'll spitball me something, and we'll do it in the middle of the show. A lot of people don't realize sometimes we've been talking about something for a week and we're still throwing it at each other in the middle of his show and just following it back and forth because it matters. Terraform Comics, changing the landscape of comics, that's gold. That's going to, that is what is getting people excited, and it's getting us some haters. There are definitely some haters drinking some haterade right now. I just like saying haterade anytime I can.
That's a nice thing. But Rob, I will tease one thing. Like I said, I am writing the Scarlet Trace comic book. It will end the disagreement between us both.
Oh, you're going to use the cover.
Yeah. That's the first page.
See how quick I knew what you were talking. See, this is me and Brian. We can do this on each other's show, and we do. People don't get it. Some people are just I wonder what they're talking about. It's you don't know, and you don't have to know. That's what we're talking about. But here's
this middle shorthand between us.
That's scary.
Yeah, exactly. It's awesome. 2 hours to go. This is our good friend. She was on the show last week. We didn't get to do Kickstarter pause, but I promised her we'd play it this week, so I'm going to live up because I'm a man of my word. So here we go. Check this out. You guys can't pause it because it's an actual overlay video.
Thank you for giving me the space. I want to thank everyone for watching. This is Kat Kalamia. I'm the creator of Like Father, Like Daughter. And this is a comic book that has 6 issues right now. We are trying to kickstart the 6th issue. And with this Kickstarter, we have everything included. So 1 through 6, digitally, physically, whatever you want, you can get that book. And if you don't see something you want, but you know is available, you can always message me. But what is this book about? It's about a high school girl. Father left her to become a full-time superhero. Everyone in the world loves him, except for her. And then she inherits his abilities. And in issue 5, we reveal a pretty big moment is that Casey, our main character's mother, was actually the villain the whole time. And she works for the KGB. So she is a spy. And we learn a lot more about her in this 6th issue. It's really her backstory and this whole back half of this book. So issues 5 through 8, I would say, really riles up the action and the drama. Issues 1 through 4 was a lot of setup to get to know the characters. Now we're really getting into the meat of the story. And yeah, we have a lot of great covers for this one. And I'm super proud of the book, and I hope you guys can back it up.
Oh my God, her mom is part of the CIA.
Well, guess I don't need to read it
Honestly, you know what? Thank you, Kat, because for the longest time I have been mispronouncing your last name. It is Calamia. All right, now I know. You know what? She is Kamikuno is the giantess. I give my crown over to her because she is amazing. Yes, I do. Yes, I do, because she is just so knowledgeable with comic books, and she is out there. She is talking about it. She's creating it. She's advocating for it. I mean, she is just amazing. She gets my tiara.
Wow, that's quite a compliment. I love the energy. I love the knowledge. I wouldn't have revealed that issue 5 thing for people who maybe just discovered her now.
No, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but other than that, that was a really great presentation. The passion that came out, that she is 2,000% behind this project, and I love it. And here's some background stuff, audience. I had a little Bart that blocked my, saying that my microphone is muted. But what I could see of the art looked really, really sweet. I love that kind of style. And I'm glad that it's been coming back the last 10 years or so, that, kind of semi-cartoony kind of thing, but it works so very well. And especially what sounds like a story that's got maybe some serious overtones. It might balance out the grimness of, any potential grimness of that comic. But yeah, I dug that video. I liked it a lot. And I really would get really excited about the project too.
That was elevator sounds I heard playing, and we have someone joining us. Rob is here.
Rob.
Hey, Rob.
Let's go, Rob. All right, so you're in the elevator with us. Tell us about your book. You have 1 floor.
All right. So Nightwolf is a story about a young man who finds out that he's born a werewolf and gets thrown into a supernatural war against other demons, witches, vampires. So basically, his entire life gets turned upside down, and has to learn how to be a werewolf.
Listen, don't call us. We'll call you. No, I liked it. I liked it. So this is not the first issue, though.
No, this is so the Kickstarter is for 1 through 4. 1 through 3 have already been published and printed. And so 4 is the new one that is coming out. So anybody who has already jumped on before can get the new issue, and anybody who is a new reader can get on, get a catch-up pledge, and get all 4 issues.
So now I have to go to an elevator and actually get a picture of an elevator and record an elevator. Like, that's my mind. But I heard everything you said. Guys, ask him about it. I know Rob. See, this is unfair. I've followed Rob. I've been around with Rob since I think your first book. We actually had it on our site, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and we'll continue to have it on the site. The only thing, of course, we updated the terms, but I know Rob doesn't care about that. Rob knows what we do and how we do. And he knows all of our shows about promoting people. Let's be honest. If we don't do something entertaining, no one shows up. Sometimes you just got to take your shirt off. Sometimes you just...
Okay.
Here it comes.
Boom, chicka wow wow.
nothing but the
my wife told me to do
that. Nothing goes right this year. I really thought I was getting Brian K. Morris boob. Fuck 2020.
Well, Rob, take heart. The fact that I haven't stood up yet.
Ooh.
See, all he needs is the fez, the bow tie, and a smile, right?
You're not really dressed unless you're wearing a smile.
And the bow tie can go on either neck. So, Rob, how close are you to get to the goal of the book?
What was that? I was too busy laughing.
How close are you getting to the goal at this point?
The goal, yes. So we are looking for a 5,000 pledge goal. Right now, we are actually about 62% there. We're above 3. So that we've been moving, and this is only the second day.
That was awesome. I don't even want it explained. I just
Excuse me.
No, that was one of my neighbors with a tiny penis and wanted the world to know.
Can we have him on the show? But
Only if he'll take his shirt off, yeah.
I don't want to get in trouble. Can I play the video? No music I have to worry about?
It's actually my my band's music playing, so there you go. I'm gonna worry about it.
I have permission then?
Yep.
All right, cool. Let's do it.
That's a plus.
Do you love stories about anti-heroes, supernatural beings like werewolves, vampires, demons, witches, and more? Then Nightwolf is the comic book series for you. Nightwolf has proven to be a fan favorite with its unique take on the supernatural, theology, mythology, and fantasy. The story encompasses elements of horror, magic, and science in a modern setting. Hi, I'm Robert A. Malteri. I'm the creator and writer of Nightwolf and the founder of Lone Wolf Comics. It's been my dream since I was a kid struggling with attention deficit disorder and dyslexia to be in the comic book business. Comic books have helped me learn how to deal with my learning disability. And that's why this project is so important to me, because comic books have been so influential in my life. Born into an outcast breed of werewolves known as the Monokai, 18-year-old Rodney Marcelli is reluctantly thrown into an ancient war between good and evil. With the help of Snowpaw, the pureblood Monokai, Rod must learn to master his newly found lycanthropy and mysterious kinetic energy power that only he possesses. Rod must fight the Dark Covenant in order to avenge his friends and family and to save the girl he loves from the master vampire Lord Malice. Rodney Marcelli is Nightwolf. For 2016, I launched a failed Kickstarter campaign for Nightwolf issues 1 through 3. I played the game on hard, setting a $20,000 goal. However, I did manage to raise $5,000. But since Kickstarter is an all-or-nothing thing, I didn't get the funds. I didn't let that failed launch stop me. So I decided to raise money on my own by doing freelance web design jobs. After self-publishing Nightwolf issues 1 and 2, I launched another Kickstarter in October of 2019 for Nightwolf issues 1 through 3 with a more reasonable funding goal of $5,000. The campaign successfully overfunded thanks to the amazing 217 backers that I refer to as my Wolfpack. So far, I have written 12 issues of Nightwolf and have published the first 3 issues in print and digital formats. Now I stand ready to publish Nightwolf issue 4, which is 100% complete and is ready to send off to the printers. And that's why I've come back to Kickstarter to pay for the printing and the rewards that you will receive for backing this project. I've personally backed several independent comic projects because I believe that indie creators have great stories that need to be told. I believe that Kickstarter is a powerful tool to help creators like myself to bring our characters to life for you to enjoy.
All right, so right here, you start repeating yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You had me into this moment. Like, I almost paused you, but then I heard you talk about your story, and I fell back in love. This was that moment where you went back, and now you're telling me something again. Be careful with that, because that's – and you've done great. I mean, at this point, if I turn off the video, I'm just looking to back it. And you're already on my backer list, so you're going to get money from me today. But or remind me if you don't see me in the next couple of days.
Thanks.
I have the horrible attention span disorder, and every time I try to pay online, some fucker tries to hack me in a week. So I don't do it online anymore. So damn you Russians, damn you to hell. And I can say that because they oppressed my Ukrainian people for decades. Centuries, actually. So screw you, Russia.
This Kickstarter project is for both new and current Wolfpack members. Current members can pick up where they left off in the story by grabbing Nightwolf issue 4. And new members can grab a catch-up pledge containing all 4 issues.
Yeah, see, now you go infomercial on us. Like, this is, and I'll say it, the art is amazing in this.
Thank you.
The art is beautiful. It's definitely, I mean, this is a tattoo-worthy type book.
Actually, speaking of tattoos, my first tattoo when I was 18 actually is of my character. I don't know if you can.
Hold on, let's blow it up. Let's blow it up.
Oh, that's commitment, man. That's commitment. Does that show up in the video?
No, actually, it doesn't.
Why not?
It's good for you.
I never thought about it.
Because if I may chime in for a minute, nothing like having a total stranger rip you. Anyway, no, seriously, I'm with Rob at the. Well, there you go. But I agree with Rob. At that one point I was out of the game too, but you brought me back in again with the infomercial. But I would have replaced that middle part where you're kind of telling us what we already knew about Kickstarter. And I'd have shown off that sweet ink because that shows your commitment to your own project, my friend. And I think, hi Marvy, and I think that would be a powerful selling point, in my opinion. Because it's one thing to say, yeah, I've got this great, comic book IP, but not only do I have this great comic book IP, rip, that sort of thing. As Rob will tell you, the bare chest, will get you some, a bunch of money.
There's an ongoing theme here of getting rid of clothing.
Brian, you might know who that is.
Oh, okay.
That's WF, Written Sin's original logo.
That's right.
Very
That's
nice.
right. Now, see,
For me, as the noob, I probably only needed the first minute and a half or 2 minutes, and then I probably would have broken up the information either in updates or other videos to kind of break the text with the video and not be so long, because I think in that short amount of time is when you're going to capture everybody's attention, and that's when they're going to decide whether or not who is that old curmudgeon.
Oh, Joe, that poor man.
But in that short period of time, I think is when a person is going to decide whether or not they want to back it or not. And then after that, it's gravy.
But
that's my personal opinion.
And again, you won us over. That's what everyone here said. Hey, you had me. I just wouldn't watch the rest of it. It's what you really want to hear. I'd rather go long and hear it was too long than go short and be like, who's this motherfucker? Showing me 5 fucking images. Fuck him.
Yeah. I do have one question though. Does one of your Kickstarter do you have stretch goals in mind, Rob?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I would like to hear them. I think everyone else would like to hear them. And I hope that one of them is a soundtrack from your band, because I freaking love that intro. That was sweet. And I would have loved to have heard that under the whole thing.
Yeah.
It is?
The song is included with with even the lowest pledge. So you'll get that even with the a digital PDF.
Beautiful.
I'm going to go to the gym rocking that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So stretch goals. I have some. I'm going to have some postcards with print versions of some of the original sketch art from the covers. I'm also going to have stickers, bookmarks, magnets, and then I also have a fun little fact. Let me pull them up right here. Got a little Lego figure add-on. That's going to come into play later on.
Oh, that's beauty. That's beauty, Rob. That's great.
Yeah, it's
not Funko, but I think Brian loves it.
I do. I'm a horrible addict. I've got 10 of them now. But anyway.
Yeah, so that Lego is actually brought to you by Saber Scorpion. So once that stretch goal hits, you'll be able to add that as an add-on to your any pledge.
Very cool. Very cool.
Which goal is that? Is that the 150 backer one?
No, so these are just the milestone rewards. These are other digital comics donated by other great indies that we're trying to kind of do cross promotion with each other. So those will, we'll have some more wallpaper art for whether you want to put it on your computer or your phone.
We just did this video. Did you see Like Father, Like Daughter?
Yeah. Yep. I was watching.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Actually, we shared. So I gave her an issue of Night Wolf to put on her campaign, and she gave me that issue for this campaign.
Who is Inferior? The one next to Like Father, Like Daughter.
That's Casey Backer.
Okay, I've seen that book. That one looks beautiful. That really,
they did a great job with that book.
I've never seen Moon Hunters. I love these shows because I get to see new things I've never seen. I'm like a kid in a candy store. I'm like, I haven't had that flavor. See the ADHD. I'm already like you were talking like all serious, and I'm like looking at other things. But I love it. I love the big banner that you have back there. I'm never a fan of
these
it.
Kickstarters are killing me because I want everything, and I'm like, I have to be careful with my budget because I don't have a Kickstarter going.
I feel you.
Do you think this actually helps showing people buying your merchandise? I've never liked it. Granted, and understand this, I consider my relationships with my fans very personal.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd betray them to show. I don't ever show my fans. And that might have started because one of my first books was the fetish book. So it might just be ingrained in me. Don't share that because you can help someone, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it could have just been from that. But I just don't know if this, does it help? Do people actually go, this stranger bought the book, so I must too. And I'm aware of commercials.
I don't know. I hear it does, but I really don't know that for sure, to be quite honest.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it so much just from a marketing standpoint. When you have friends who are posting pictures and they send it to you, they're likely to tell their friends about it.
Yeah, but who's this fucking villain right here?
Yeah, I was going to say,
that guy?
He looks suspicious.
Hey,
okay, I was going to pledge at the top level, but seeing that, I'm sorry, I'm out.
Hey, sorry, I got to cut short. I actually got to head out. But thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it.
It's great. Super project. Got a super project there.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Feel free to hop on anytime, man. We'll talk to you soon.
That sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. And the joke we're all making is that's Chuck, of course. Chuck is a great guy.
Yeah, yeah. Chuck's a good guy.
Chuck's a good guy. Chuck's good people. So, all right. So thanks, Rob. We'll talk to you later. All right. So we do have a question, and I want to get to it. Marvy says, why Kickstarter and IndieGoGo or other platforms, Rob? I'm seeing artists going Kickstarter more lately. Good luck on your campaign. That was for Rob. Marvy, here's the simplest answer. Kickstarter has the better reach. It has better integrated software that allows you to email all the people you once had as backers. Its connective tissue is amazing. When someone backs it, they tell everyone on their friend list, hey, your friend backed this book. It designed things like that. I have no problem with IndieGoGo. I have one right now. I can't make any money on it. Cannot. For some reason, IndieGoGo has been my kryptonite. I could put like free money, free stacks of money. All you gotta do is pay shipping, and no one would back it on IndieGoGo. I'm just telling you, it's harder. It's hard. I don't have my fan base there, but I really like some of the actual things on IndieGoGo. Go for it, Brian.
I have a theory about that, and this is just in my warped imagination, so I have absolutely no basis in fact for it. But I suspect one reason that some people are reluctant to back an IndieGoGo project is because of the very thing that drives people to IndieGoGo, and that's the all-or-nothing nature of Kickstarter. With Kickstarter, it's like a call to action, and you feel more invested in the project when you pledge, and you're like, yeah, I'm doing my part to get this thing over the top, to get it to a true victory. We're going to cross the goal line here. Whereas IndieGoGo is more like, well, he's going to get money anyway, so it doesn't seem to place that sense of urgency on it. Now, one thing I will say, Marvy, that I do see, Rob is one of them. Luke Stone and Eric Hawkins have also done this, but they have run not concurrently, but they run a platform. They run a campaign on Kickstarter, for instance, and then they go to IndieGoGo because, like Rob said, there are various platforms you can create, almost like a store of sorts there that is very helpful to the independent publisher. And the thing is also, if a publisher has, say, for instance, this is something Eric Hawkins did on Zombieful World of Oz #2. He had stretch goals in mind, and you'll notice there's a part in IndieGoGo that says that X number of dollars for this amount was raised on their platform, because they're not going to mention the competitor's name. But he was counting the money he got at Kickstarter as moving towards his ultimate, upper tier thank you gifts. So, and some people just don't want to deal with with Kickstarter and vice versa, because they see one or the other as some sort of evil empire that they don't want to support. So that's why a number of people are doing campaigns in both. So
look at Mike Seeley. We're working with him now. That's a character I'm writing. So
that's nice.
I'm pretty excited. That's Goldie. I'm going to be telling you guys more and more about that. But I absolutely agree with you, Brian. I think he nailed it. I think that's exactly the answer. IndieGoGo has this feeling like, wait, they get money even if they don't make enough money. But what does that mean for me then if they didn't raise enough money? Am I going to really get something out of that deal? Where Kickstarter, it's like, no, they got all this money. They better deliver on that. Now, at this point, do you guys have anywhere to go? I'm willing to open it up for a little bit of overtime because we ran a little late. Unless either one of you have something to do, we can add like 10 or 15 minutes on the show. I do want to try to keep it closer to an hour just because, of course, when you go too long, and Brian knows this, a lot of people start dropping off towards the end, especially on replays. They'll watch the beginning of the show, not the end. It's usually why at the end, I got a lot more sarcastic and a lot more like cursy, because no one ever watches the ends of the programs. I've had literal people send an email to like Variant, and they'll be like, Rob held up a sign. He's like, when did he hold up a sign? It's at the end of the program. The one person who watched the very end saw me holding up the sign. I was like, yeah, Variant, you got to keep an eye on me. This is stormy. Now, I do want to talk to you guys about a situation today. And I don't want to call out the creator. I don't want to make it a big deal. But a creator decided to tell me, how do I do this without, hold on. Let me see if I can get this I don't want to out the creator. I really don't. Even though the creator probably deserves it, I don't want to out the creator.
Oh, I saw that. I saw that.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to wind up my screen. So here's the basic idea. And you guys can't see it, right? I don't want to out this guy. And I'm just being professional. I said, and this is for you guys because you're partners with me in Terraform Comics. See how hard I am trying. But this creator crossed some lines, and I don't think he understood it. So here's what I wrote today. There was a wave of sexual misconduct accusations rocks comic industry, den of geek. And I said there's a problem with that. And here it is. Here's the issue. It's not a wave. It's sadly an acceptable practice that many of you defend, victim blame, or turn a blind eye to. Many of you are guilty of being part of the problem if you never did it yourself. You have enabled others. Think about it. So now, that was a statement. It wasn't a debate. I wasn't interested in talking about it. I thought that came off as a statement, correct?
Right. I agree.
So I decided to start talking about how our industry is all about sexuality and covers, and there's nothing but perverts in the comic book industry. And I was like blown away. I was like, whoa. First off, because they start off saying, to be fair. Who are you being fair to by debating what I just said? What about what I just said? Is there anything to be fair about? What? Because we talk about sexuality. Remember, I'm the guy who writes a fetish book. I come from a community that's very considered sexually charged. There's obviously sexuality in there. There are women who dress very sexy and in very revealing clothing. So no one's okay to touch. That's a big no-no. I come from an area of consent, and I've been pretty vocal. I have had consent violations. I've been touched by people I didn't want. I have had people do things that weren't appropriate. I even remember having a conversation with someone about whether or not I could actually be considered to have been raped. And it's weird, and especially being a guy, because, and this made me understand something, and I'm going to share this with everyone. I had a best friend. Me and the best friend kissed over a holiday. It was Thanksgiving, and it kind of changed our relationship. She was single. She got back together with her boyfriend. I've never been a person who cheated on anyone. She gets back with her boyfriend, comes out to hang out with me, and we both agreed it was just a kiss, but I don't think for either one of us it was just a kiss. And it fundamentally changed our relationship. And so she comes over that next day after Thanksgiving. So it's happened before Thanksgiving and then the day after Thanksgiving. We didn't see each other on Thanksgiving. She tells me she got back together with her friend. We always hung out, watched movies, like had a pretty, really strong relationship, believe it or not. So she comes over that day. She tells me she's back with her boyfriend. I just write it off. Oh, well, opportunity missed. Maybe I should have stepped up and said something. She then decides that she wants more with me. And I tell her, well, you should break up with the guy because she tried to kiss me. And I keep telling her, no, no, no. And she kept pushing. And I mean, aggressively. And using terms like, you want this. And well, this is really what you want. Obviously your body's responding to it. And I never thought about it. And she wound up having sex with me, even without a condom. And this is when I was younger. I wasn't as smart. She was on the pill, but there was no condom involved. This was not even a choice I was given. The only choice I could have done was throwing her off the bed or punched her. And in all honesty, as much as I wanted to be morally right, the other head didn't care about anything and did want it. And I never thought of anything about that. So I happened to be just talking to someone, telling the same story and all that. Never would have put the R word, never would have called it rape. And I explained it to them, and they were like, well, she basically raped you. And I was like, no, I wanted it. Like, ultimately, if I was being honest with myself, yeah, I wanted it. And they were like, did you really want it? Because the other part of the story at the end of it was that it didn't last long, and I felt very uncomfortable, and it was not the best sexual performance I'd done. And I basically, at the end of it, she was like, well, I didn't expect it to be like that with you after all the things I heard about you. She was my best friend for a long time. She'd met other girlfriends. And I pointed out to her how uncomfortable I was with it. And then she was like, well, it's too late now. You know, it is what it is. Do you want to go again? And 20-year-old me was like, I guess I fucked up. Might as well. And I went right after it again. And I chose to do it again. So I always felt like I couldn't say that I'd been raped. I never realized how much she had broken my consent. And when that person talked to me about this story, they had pointed out to me and asked me, do you have trouble with the first time you have sex with someone now? And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, do you feel uncomfortable until you make sure someone wants to have sex with you? And I was like, I guess I do. Like, so all the girlfriends since then have always complained I asked too much. In the very beginning of the relationship, I'm very obsessed with consent. And they told me, you don't realize it, but that was left on you. That part of you has forever, it doesn't matter if you wanted it, you felt like she went too far. You might not have punched her, you might not have done anything, but that was left with you. And it was like a powerful moment of how quickly, even though I really wanted it, because it wasn't my choice, had fucked me up for the rest of my life now. Even to this date, I'm very awkward with getting to know someone because of it. And I wouldn't call it I was raped, but if you think she didn't listen to consent, she did whatever she wanted, and I didn't react because I didn't want to hurt her, and I didn't know what to do. I felt, you know, like there's this hot girl trying to do something to me. I'm a guy. I'm supposed to just take it, right? This is what guys do. And I never realized what it was. And it was that time when I was talking. This wasn't even a girl I was interested in anyway. We were just shooting the breeze about consent over BDSM. Mm-hmm. And she was talking to me about it. And she was like, it all started with, well, did anyone ever have sex with you without you really wanting to? And I was like, well, because I remember that. It always triggers back. Well, you know, there was that one time where, and after her, any girl got too aggressive with me, and it made sense because someone stuck their hand down my pants and I didn't want it. I pushed them away. I literally got to the point where I would push people away. Not hard, not to hurt someone, but hey, back off, you know? No, step away. And I didn't realize how guarded I became. So when I see people defend people doing things, and I would never have her brought up on charges or anything like that, but I certainly understand having that consent violated in your life. So I'm a big proponent about not doing that. So when you start making excuses that comic book covers are a gateway for perverts to join comic books,
yeah.
Come on, we can do better than this shit. This all goes back to that, and it's. I don't blame necessarily him. I think he's a shithead for saying it, and I think anyone who constantly gives excuses for these incidents to be happening left and right need to take a seat and shut the fuck up. It's not okay. Everyone should be treated with respect. The comic book cover doesn't make anyone do anything. And just like any other industry, there's always going to be bad people within it. And by the way, a pervert isn't what he thinks it is. A pervert would be me. And honestly, because I don't follow the normal stuff and whatever. In our culture, we rally behind pervert because it's what you all call us, you vanilla people. That's right, you vanilla people. It's what you do. So we wear it like freak and pervert doesn't matter. He doesn't understand what he even means, and that's a problem. How can we have these conversations? Because he wound up getting mad because we pointed it out to him. It wasn't just me. Someone else started pointing it out. So he ran to his own thread and he didn't tell the whole story, left out all the important parts. And when I called him on it, 'cause I don't like that shit. Don't run behind someone's back to try to seem like you're a big guy. And don't let me find out. Because, yeah, I'll come up. And I was very nice. You guys would be so proud of me. If you read it, you would see I stuck to facts. It was not emotional. It was just, I do not accept excuses. You're making an excuse. This is problematic for me. I think you need to reevaluate what you're saying. They even got to the point where they had said something to the effect of, well, what do you expect in the comic book industry? And that's heartbreaking to me. I expect people to fucking behave. And if I find out that you touch one of my friends, we're going to have a motherfucking problem. And I don't care. You better not run into me at a con. I've already had to deal with that one time. And I basically told everyone to tell him to stay the fuck away from me, because it won't go well if he tries to have an in-person conversation. I know me. I don't have the temperament to be around abusive people, especially if they're going to give me excuses. And I worded it just this way. If he wants to come and apologize, I'll hear an apology. If it's anything else, tell him to cross the street if he sees me coming. And it's just the truth. I am a brother. I was a husband. I might be a husband again if I get hit on the head enough times. I am a father, and I have to. And you know what? Before all this happened, I used to be one of those guys who were, because you're terrified to have your character drawn through the mud, right? But after the last few years, watching my character dragged through the mud with lies, I no longer care, because at the end of the lies, that's why I am the Uncanny Comics devil. Because when you're all done lying at me, you don't have any proof, I'm still here, and I'm still doing what I do. So, I don't know. What do you guys think about this? Because this has been the biggest news of the week in our entire industry, from indie to all that. What do you guys make of this? Because I think it's ugly. I think it's ugly that we're still making excuses. This isn't 1950 anymore. We all have to understand consent. And remember, I come from a community of consent-driven everything. So I'll leave it up to you guys. Am I wrong? Should I not be getting mad at people when they're making excuses like that? Should I just accept that all comic book creators are perverts now, and all we are is a den of perverts? Which sounds kind of fun.
Yeah, I'm going to break in now.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. Like you were saying, pervert. For some people, for the vanilla people, that sounds like, oh my gosh, they are the untouchables and they're dirty and all this stuff. Unfortunately, there has been a bastardization of our language, what it really means. So, people take their interpretations, and then that is, interpretation is essentially opinion. And when their opinion means more than fact, and they are very emotional about it, then that becomes an argument. So for me, I think it's so important to take our language back and the definition of things, because they are really bastardized, and I hate it. I hate it. I think that's part of a big part of the problem these days. Yeah, and like I said, I had seen the exchange. In fact, I think it was earlier today. And Rob, I do give you credit. You handled yourself very well during it. I'm not saying that because you're here. I think you did a good job of just defending your position. And basically, the one thing I got from it was I didn't like the idea that suddenly everybody in the comics industry is a quote unquote pervert. I firmly believe that when you say all and you're trying to form an argument, you've already lost it, because, for every Eddie Berganza, for every Warren Ellis, that is in the industry, you've got hundreds of other people that all they want to do is create great comic books, to make a deadline, to make a living, to help others bring out their best work. It's not like they sit around and go, who shall we exploit today? And yes, there have been incidents, even back in the 80s, we were hearing about some. Knowing some professionals, I've heard a lot of other stories that I just won't relate on the air here. That there are some people that would be considered perverts. And note the air quotes. But by the same token, it's unanimous. But it's the idea that everyone is painted with the same brush, that not all books are about sexuality, and not all books are designed to turn the raging hormones of America's youth into perverts. We had this argument back in the 50s and it lost.
And the thing is, when people bring that up, that annoys the hell out of me, frankly. That they're painting the whole industry by what a handful of people do. And then what really got me about this argument were the people chiming in, well, I wouldn't do that. The whole industry is filled with degenerates, but not me. I think virtual signaling is nauseating. Go ahead, Rob.
And what the poster didn't get was that all he was talking about was female sexuality and how females were done, not realizing that that's not even true anymore. Men are sexualized and have always been sexualized. And it has been a talking point for decades now. Didn't want to address that because you could tell there was a block there. He didn't want to have that honest conversation. So this was definitely geared towards females. And the underlying thing was, well, what do you expect a male to do? They're just these girls and they have these things called boobs. It's their fault. I mean, they have boobs. What do you expect us to do? What do you expect us to do? I mean, you draw a picture like that, I'm going to go out and do, and you're like, wait a minute, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
That's a human being. Like, I don't understand it. And again, it's the preconceived notions. When people look at me, the last thing I think anyone would think is I have a story about someone inappropriately touching me. But I've gotten it from both ends. And that sounded really wrong. I did not mean that.
I was going to let that drop, Rob. I really was.
I was that.
Nope, there's variants watching, and I know he'll try to use that. No variant. What I meant was I've gotten all genders wanting a piece of the pie that is Rob. Take your shirt off. Take your shirt off in one video, and everyone thinks they own you. Everyone thinks that you're their little bitch. I was told to dance like a monkey. It was horrible. It's horrible.
How do I fit the screen?
No, but like in all seriousness, we don't want to hear these things. We don't want to have the conversations. We don't want to understand. This devastates lives. I didn't realize how much it fucked me up. Not that it'll ever really hurt me. The girl who isn't willing to wait and be patient with me is not worth my time. The one who can't see it, and at least now I can explain a little bit. I can go, hey, listen, I never realized this. It's going to sound weird. And every time I've told a person that story, no one's ever been like, no, Rob, you're making it up. Everyone's like, yeah, that guy is kind of scummy. It's a weird situation. Especially as a guy, you're expected to like it. I've had older women that I've worked with grab my ass with impunity. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. And I've been told to my face, again, well, you liked it. Some woman's touching you. Why wouldn't you like that?
Why? Because you're a man?
Yes, and I've had another friend, and I have a goddaughter that I don't even talk to because there's too much drama between the actual legal parents, the genetic parents, because they're both very bad human beings, or at least were at a point. And one of the things she did is I went out with her and I took her to a bar to protect her, to make sure she'd be okay. She just turned 21, had a kid at 18. About 18. So like this was 2 years later, and I was still in the little kid's life. Beautiful little girl. She sticks her hand down my pants. Finds out that not every man likes that. And isn't appreciative of it. She thought I really wanted her. And then after that, she just tries to get me jumped by some guys. Like, I'm glad I'm not a fucking teenager anymore. Because this is how people really react to stuff. So I understand the whole, oh, well, this is going to be used as revenge and all that. But you know what? I'll say it, and I'll say it again. If everyone's going to drag me through the mud once in a while, and test me and have to prove that I am who they're saying I'm going to prove, and for a few weeks I get to see what people really think of me and I get to tell who's not really my friend, I'm okay with that. Because that means the next person they go after who really is whatever they're accusing them of, maybe they'll have proof. Maybe that'll take down a person, and that's the person we want to get down. I don't worry about that shit anymore. Talk all the shit you want about me. I'll be here tomorrow because I know who I am. So you can't be worried about being taken down. And yeah, some innocent people are going to fall. What we have to do is make sure when someone innocent falls, we help them back up. We cheerlead that they are not the people. And there should be wrongful lawsuits. Don't get me wrong. If you're lying about some shit, I'm all for that lawsuit where you can sue a person. Like I forgot where it's at, but it's in some sort of court measure right now where the college students who got kicked out of college and kicked off their basketball teams are now suing that girl basically for NBA money because they could have gone to the NBA, and I'm all for that. Cheerleading that shit, fuck yeah. You know, I'm not a person who would even the circumstance that I had on me, I'm not sure that should be prosecuted by the law. Because ultimately, and this is just speaking for myself, I should have stopped it on my own. I should have had more integrity and been like, no, I'm not going to let this happen to my body. And after that incident, it happened. That's how I feel about it. I'm open to conversations about it. It's a slippery slope, that one. I get it. But we all got to draw the line of inappropriate touching. That was a friend taking it a little too far. You know, when you have sex with someone the next morning, you regret it. That's not rape. But we have to take the real accusations seriously. We have to stop acting like they don't exist. We have to stop acting like things like Dirk Manning are a shock. And instead, we have to be like, no, Dirk, you have to step up and tell us what happened. And you need to go to therapy. It's not okay you're still here just because you have a Hollywood deal. This has got to stop. This has got to stop. We have to have honest conversations. And you know what? I'm all for, and tell me if I'm wrong, I'm all for people being redeemed. I'm the underdog. I love the comeback story. Show me you went to therapy. Understand you know what you did. And as long as you haven't raped or killed someone, I think there should be room for forgiveness. Am I wrong?
No. I personally, I think, you know, I know how you feel about Dirk Manning, and, you know, I think, you know, personally, I think it was, you know, even though what he did was pretty bad, you know, I would hope that there is some sort of path that he can take towards being forgiven, you know, and yes, he has to show that, you know, he's done with this sort of behavior. What was it last week? Warren Ellis was outed as somebody that, you know, used their position and their privilege to kind of groom, you know, women for sex, allegedly. I will say allegedly, because nobody's been taken to court over this yet. I remember my journalism training, and you know, the first thing he did was he issued something that sounded like it was through a lawyer, but it still was saying, I know I'm perceived as having done wrong. I am going to listen. I am going to, you know, try to work to become a better person. And I think that's a step in the right direction.
But again, he did not acknowledge that he did. This is my problem.
Not quite, no.
You don't go, you know what? I heard that story. This is the easiest way to do it. If you don't want to legally get in trouble, all you would have to say is, I heard that story. I never intended her to feel that way. If she feels that way, because that is not how I believe it went down, but if she feels that way, I did a bad job of representing myself. I apologize. I never meant to make you feel that way. I would accept that. Even if I thought it was a little full of shit, at least you're owning it. You heard that person. You heard that you hurt that person, and you're acknowledging it, and you're feeling their pain. Saying, well, I guess I was a bad friend. No, you fucked them. You weren't friends. You were more than friends. Stop acting like this was like, hey, dude, can I borrow your lawnmower? Oops, I didn't bring it back for 2 years. It's not fucking that. This is something different. This is more than, oops, sorry, guys. This is not a lawyer's dodge. We want an honest thing. We don't need you to admit everything you did, but at least let us hear that you understand what you did was wrong. That's what we're seeking, not revenge. I don't want Dirk to go away. I think Dirk's a talented writer, and he will remain to be a talented writer. I want him to have the integrity he said he had in his book. I want him to show that he can be a leader in this industry and admit, you know what, maybe I picked up some bad behaviors along my way. Maybe I was doing something I didn't understand. Maybe I did something I didn't realize was hurting other people. I was raised in the 80s. It's not an excuse. It's what it was back then. And I now see that I need to improve myself. Let me go to therapy. Let me talk to a doctor. Let me see if there's something wrong inside. Because clearly I'm cheating on my wife, and that's a very big, bad thing because she didn't know I was cheating. And I have to start there, and I have to figure some things out. Give me some time, and when I come back, let's all have a conversation of what you expect from me. How beautiful is that moment? You'd all fucking stand up with me, applauding him, being like, there's someone I want to follow. But what do we get? Oops! I know some people feel hurt over things that they think happened. So now everyone's fucking crazy.
When there's a distinct lack of sincerity, you know, I mean, you can say the words, but, you know, I mean, who am I to say whether they mean it? That has to come from them, from the inside. Some people are just dead inside, you know? I mean, it's nice to give a person an out and say, hey, you know, as long as he gets to therapy and stuff like that. But some people are essentially broken, and they don't have that integrity, and they'll say whatever it is to make you like them again, or be back in your good graces and things like that. Is it sincere? Time will tell, because the real person comes out all the time. You can't put up a front all the time. The real person shines through.
Yeah.
And if anything, I'm everything you guys think I am. I'm rigid. I'm cruel at times with my words, because I tell the truth about people. But
I don't think that's cruel.
To some people, they address it as cruel, and I accept that. I accept they feel it's cruel, and it doesn't bother me. And I accept that might make me just a little bit of a bad person, because I don't care that it hurts them. Because if it's factual, I'm okay with hurting someone on facts. And I understand that's not a great quality, and I own that I understand it's not a great quality, and I'm not willing to change that. I am willing to watch my words more. I am willing to try harder. But this is who I really am. I'm not playing. That's why when people are like, you have to be nicer. No, I could be more professional. That is what you're seeing. A more professional me, someone who picks my words as if I was a writer somehow. And
that goes to language, doesn't it? The interpretation of language.
Yeah.
Well, for a while, if you guys remember, I was putting context at the back of my thing, but then the context got crueler. So it was like, wait, I don't want to know why you're saying what you're saying. Please stop. Like, it's actually worse, because I would be writing like, I think that you just don't understand what you're talking about. And then they're like, well, I think he's got his head up his ass. So I would type, because I currently think that you are thinking with your head directly up your ass. And people were like, no, that's not making it better. Just think about, and I had that talk where it's think about what you're saying and just say it as nicely as you can.
Well, and that comes with communication too. I always, one of my favorite examples is that two situations here. You could say, I don't like the way you talk to me. That's one way. The other one is saying, you're an asshole. Okay. It's kind of the same thing, but one is really, like saying, hey, I'm telling you how I feel. Now it's up to you to either change, to communicate, and the other one is just attacky.
Yeah,
so there's that communication.
I'll be honest with you, Meredith. If you called me an asshole, I hear the Dennis Leary song, I'm an asshole.
Oh, I love that song.
Yeah, that's it. I'm like, yeah, I'm an asshole. Yeah, fuck you. I don't care. I'm an asshole. But
I will say, when I am being an asshole, I will admit it. And I do it all the time with family. I live in Florida, and when it's like a blizzard up in New York and stuff like that, I send them pictures of me in flip flops and all my windows open. I'm like, yeah, I'm an asshole, and I embrace.
You are.
That. It's not mean and attacky and stuff like that. It's just, but again, it's to people that I trust, and they understand my sense of humor and how I communicate with them, and they know when I'm joking around. And if they don't know that I'm joking around, then I'm okay with apologizing and just saying, hold on a second, let me interpret this for you. Let me translate a little bit. And so where my ground is before you start, digging a sand pit for me to fall into.
Yeah, and but to the point I was trying to make is that when you call me an asshole, I think it's funny. When you tell me I hurt your feelings, you make me look at you as a human. Yes. And I don't think people understand that, because when you're name calling me, you're not getting you're getting the wall. You're getting the wall. It's going to bounce right off. You're not getting the human. You're getting the ego. The ego's a New York ego who's going to push back. And it actually takes me more, especially now, because I've made this commitment. When even today, when I got cursed at and someone told me to go fuck myself, in my past, go fuck yourself would have been a punch to the face if you were in front of me. I would just snap and hit. That was one of those things. As an adult and as someone who's part of this business, I understand that. So I take a breath and I look at it and I go, I remind myself, well, this is who this person is. You've now learned who they are. That this is the minute you disagree with you, they're going to say, fuck you. They gave you a gift. They're not worth your time. Thank them. Say, okay, I see who you are. And thank them by taking away your friendship, because they don't deserve it. And I have to force myself to think that way. And not just because I'm partnering with you guys. My son's starting to get to that age where he needs to see that. and he needs to see someone who thinks more than reacts and fly. I mean, to the news that we were talking about, and we're going to end the show this way. And Eric says Brian is always mean to me, and I could see that. I could definitely.
That's enough out of you, Eric. That's quite enough out of you. Go back to where you belong in the basement, and please put the manacles back on. Thank you.
Okay, we're not going to talk about that anymore. Kink time is their time. But I will say that the big news this week that, of course, I had air conditioning stuff. I had some personal stuff that we will not talk about on air. It's not appropriate to talk about it. It does not directly affect me. It affects different people. Well, it does directly affect me. I mean, it's not just me. It affects other people, and that wasn't great news. Nothing horrible, but nothing. It was just another thing. And then we heard 2 shows got canceled. Raleigh, North Carolina, huge show. One of the best shows, I think, in the Northeast, if not in the entire world. I really love that show. Love the audience. Gets canceled last Saturday night. Sends me into, was it? Yeah, it was Saturday night. And it sent me into a depression for the rest of the weekend. It was either Friday or Saturday. I think it might have been Friday night. Either way, it sends me to an depression the entire weekend because now I've lost one of the biggest shows of the year for me. This is like I love going to this show. Mm-hmm. It's gone. So now I stop, and every time we see something canceled, what do? We go back to that list of shows we had, and we take it off the list. And we start counting how many shows are gone. We start counting how many weeks it's been. We start seeing how much we've lost. And we start losing just a little more hope. Like, what is next? And I remember I reached out, and I think I told all you in the group when we were talking to Terraform, I don't think Tampa's happening. I don't think it's getting out of this week. We have to make it to Friday. If we can make it to Friday, we might have a chance. Then we have to make it to Sunday. If we make it to Sunday, we'll have a show. Monday shows up. The numbers come in. Fauci goes to testify. Everything is saying do not converge with a large amount of people. The writing's on the wall. I fucking know it. Tuesday, I'm amazed Tampa's not canceled yet when we're going to do the news. I'm like, I checked right before I went on. I'm like, they really haven't canceled it yet? And in the back of my head, there's that moment of hope. Well, maybe they're just crazy enough to pull this off. Maybe they're just going to shut their mouth, go under the radar, and fly under it. Wednesday opens up. DeSantis comes on, starts talking about limiting large crowds. I'm like, fuck, it's only a couple hours. Right after that, New York puts the ban on people from Florida. Mm-hmm. I'm like, we're fucked. It's only a matter of time. Sure enough, just a half an hour later, the first emails go out. They went out, ironically, to the people with panels. I don't know why, but I had 4 panels for this year. So I get that email, and I'm like, fuck me. First thing I do is I call Luke, because we were supposed to table together. I wanted to hear it from me before I shared it with you guys. He didn't pick up. I sent you guys the shot, and I said, we're fucked. And 10 minutes later, I had to be on an important phone call for Jax. I don't even know how I made it through that phone call. I was so angry, and it was an important phone, and it was one where they could see my face. So it was like, me and Brian have talked about this. It was clown time. All the times that me and you have gone on air and not been happy but able to hide it really paid off for that video. I get off that video. The house is hot as shit. Things aren't going right. I'm in a tear. And I remember I came to you guys in a group. Oh, yeah, the horns are out.
Can't find his shirt.
And I just want to rip someone's head off, I want to go out and start a fight, break some shit, like be 90s metal. And then I suddenly realized none of that's going to fucking matter. I got to figure out what the fuck to do. I don't have time to be a little bitch. And I got to it. And I started sending suggestions. Meredith, what about this? Brian, what about this? Guys, what if we do this? Let's reach out here. Let's talk to Tampa Bay. Let's get a virtual con going. We don't have time to wait. Terraform's got to step up. We got to do something. I don't care what it is. We have to do something. There are no more cons. Cons are gone. I know Brian's got a couple, and I'm in team. I hope he gets there. I really do. I'm hoping, praying. He's got my positive energy. I want him to go to shows. I want something to happen this year for us. I want us to not, because right now I end of the year with 5 cons under my belt, and that's a record for this year. That's a record. 5 cons is a record. I don't know anyone who's done 5 cons. No one. That's it. Me and Brian have done that in the 3-week span.
Yeah.
And that's where we are. So it's been a rough week. And if you guys are watching, support comic book creators. You know, they need it right now. They're not telling you. There's a couple out there bragging about making money at stores or bragging about how good they're doing. That's not the regular, honest answer for a lot of people. We're coming up with ideas. I think we'll be okay because I have a great group of people next to me. Right now you're seeing 2 amazing people out of 5 amazing people that I've partnered with Terraform Comics. We're going to find a way to help each other out and get through this. We can only help out so many people. There are so many people out there in the weeds right now who need help. If you know a creator, check on them. Ask them, like when they tell you everything's going fine, go, no, really. How can I help? I know it can't be going fine. And you'll hear them get honest. Because we're taught to lie. We're taught to not tell you the truth. We're supposed to be, oh, fine. Oh, now everything's fine. Don't look at the exploding background and the fire in the background. I promise everything is okay. I'm telling you, it is not right now. People need your support more than ever. Please give them that. This was a rough week because when Tampa ended, so did a lot of other shows. I don't know if you guys were watching. A lot of smaller shows pulled the plugs right after. They knew if Tampa couldn't go, New York is the last one. New York is our last hope, and it's not looking good because we're going into July and they haven't sold 1 ticket yet. That tells you where their mind is. They know it's a long shot. New York is the second wave. You want realistic? I think Brian will be the only group to get in a few cons before it gets taken away again. I think we're heading back to quarantine. I think they're going to take away. I think we'll go back to phase 1 everywhere. I don't think we'll go full quarantine again, but I think we're going to phase 1 everywhere. That's just what I'm seeing in Florida. What do you guys think? What are you seeing? I mean, you got some I know you're with me in Florida, Meredith, so you're getting some news. Brian, how's the news up there, up north and into the Midwest?
Well, it varies from state to state. We've got some states like Missouri and Ohio that are spiking once again. And Illinois is going up as well. But then you have, and Kentucky also. But you have Indiana, where we're on a downhill trend. And we are, in fact, I watched our governor yesterday who was talking about we're on target to go to phase 5 probably around the 4th of July. This is like Missouri. The governor has allowed each municipality to decide, how far along they are, because the kind of care that a St. Louis is going to require due to the population density is not going to be the same as, say, Perryville, Missouri, which has a considerably smaller population. And their county right now has 100 known cases of the My Miley Peter Pan virus. So we're going to get this monetized yet. Anyway, we still have, but it's all small shows. My largest book show canceled a while back. Now, the one thing I will say that I understand why it happens, I wasn't real thrilled with the fact that they announced Tampa Con being canceled like a week and a half before the thing happened. But I was talking to a friend of mine this morning who promotes shows and does a lot of shows, and he said that it has to do with the contracts that the promoter has with the hotel, that if the promoter cancels, they're out whatever money they've got as a deposit or whatever, whereas if the venue cancels, then they're completely off the hook and could get their money back. So that I understand. I just think the timing of it just, absolutely sucks. I know that Airbnb has a very generous refund policy right now. But not every hotel chain has one right now, and especially the booking services. So yeah, this is going to be a rough year for a lot of creators. Now, Rob said that some of us are saying, that we are having a great year. I agree. Nobody's having a great year. I managed to mitigate some of my stuff, but then again, a lot of my stuff is not in comics. A lot of what I do is not in comics, and I've got a little more wiggle room to do what I do.
Credit.
We need an Amazon is what we need.
Yeah, no, to your credit, you're you're finding a new path, and that's fine. And I don't mean to belittle anyone who's finding a new path.
No. I didn't take it like that either, Rob. I know. And I wish that what I can do could extend to the rest of you. And everyone out there watching this, too.
Yeah, we could watch and just do what you're doing. That's the truth. It's about hustling and connecting with your fan base. To Tampa's credit, I do want to say this. Understand, they were going to go ahead with it. They had everything going for them until New York and the tri-state area up in New York. I'm from New York, and I'm going to say this. Politically fired back at Florida for what we did to them at the beginning of this. Beginning of this, we shut off to New Yorkers and up there. This was political payback more than anything else. This was a fuck you backwards. And we're going to pay the price for it. If they had kept their mouth shut just for another 2 weeks, Tampa, I really think Tampa would have happened. The numbers we expected to spike again. No, that was always going to happen. They expected higher numbers because especially in Florida, we've been rising our testing constantly. And they're finding out now in the NBC latest thing I read today, it turns out maybe 20 million Americans have had actually COVID, thanks just to the antibody tests.
Right.
Oops. So a lot of us have already had it and didn't realize we had it. So the numbers aren't necessarily as bad as they sound. Anyone dying is bad, but there isn't a rising number of deaths. That's what our governor's been saying. He's not worried because hospitalizations are actually lower than they were back in March because we've learned how to treat this. We weren't given that. We were put in the crosshairs of a political battle. Everything, it's 2020. Let's just call it that. Let's not even get into anything. It's fucking 2020. In July, we're going to meet E.T. In, August, we're going to find out Godzilla's alive. September, Mothra. And then in October, we're going to find out there's other ETs that we didn't know that are bad guys. The 11th is going to be the Antichrist. The 12th will be Christ. And then in the very end of 2020, at the top of the skies, you'll see the tutorial is done. I hope you're ready for the decade.
Yeah. And that's when the robots kill us all in our sleep. Skynet is real, people.
It's not going to be humanoid. They're going to be fucking dogs. Dog robots are coming to kill you.
That's right. Man's best friend, my ass. But
I'm waiting for the asteroid. That's it. I'm going to be outside with my sunglasses.
We just missed one. We had one 3 weeks ago. It came within 3 million miles of Earth. I'm not joking on this either. And and normally, if it were any year but 2020, everybody would be like, "Holy shit, we're all going to die!" But everybody. Okay, fine. 3 million miles, misses as good as a mile.
Add it to the pile.
Yeah, and now we got the Sahara sandstorms, dirt storms coming across the Atlantic and going to go up the Gulf Coast and then up the East Coast. Missing you guys in Florida, so count your blessings, people.
No, but you're missing it. Meteor just looked down and said, "Fuck that! I'm not stepping in that." So that's it, guys. This is the end of the show. We're going to let everyone tell them where to follow them. Go ahead, Brian. Where can they follow you?
Okay. Assuming you still want. Anyway, I'm at risingtide.pub. That we publish books. We publish comic books. We also have a page on Facebook, Rising Tide Publications. That's our philosophy. That's our. It's not just the name of our. Our adventures. We do horror and humor. And we are on Amazon as well as Smashwords, and also Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central. We do an interactive talk show called Nevermind the Furthermore, where you are the guest star. And on Tuesdays at 8 p.m., 7 Central, we do an interview show called Clever Title Pending on Facebook and YouTube. Where we talk about creativity and the business behind it. And this week we are going to be talking about contracts, do's and don'ts. We're going to be joined by novelists T.L. Shively and the amazing Amy Hale. So please join us this coming Tuesday for that. And anyway, we'll see you occasionally on this show here where we belong, and also in the pages of Terraform Comics. Look out for Scarlet Trace. And now over to you, Meredith.
All right. Hi, everybody. I am Meredith Loughran, and you can find me at my website, meredithloughran.com. I am the comic noob, and I am totally unprepared this weekend. Tomorrow I was supposed to call up some guests, and that didn't happen because, I just got a little bit busy with the Terraform Comics thing. But on top of that, you can find me at geekinsider.com. And I am also the editor-in-chief for Wild One Forever, which is a women-centric site, but it's not exclusive to women. So, on top of that, with Comic Book Advocates Network, which is, I've got to get a press release for Austin Janowski up there on the site. And, just keep him busy. But if you want to reach me, go to meredithlachlan.com. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, all over the place. If just do a Google search for my name. And, I almost came in here and wrote Meredith is tired as fuck, but you know what? I still have a long night to go. So I'm going to get to it, you guys. Back to Rob.
Sorry about that. I was trying to make sure I have my actual team here to send us out of the show today. That would have been a good title. I've put weird titles in. It wouldn't bother me. Someone did message me, and I'm surprised neither one of you asked about this, and I forgot to actually mention it. Yes, this is upside down.
I did notice that.
I did too.
The reason it's upside down is because comics are in trouble right now. That was my big we're in distress. So I deliberately hung it upside down. Thank you for noticing it. One person on the internet. But yes, that was my Easter egg. It was on purpose. Although the bed being shown really wasn't on purpose. Please don't get ideas unless you're extremely cute. See, you can't say that anymore. It's 2020.
Oh, you can still say it. You're a sexy, sexy man. No, I keep telling you, Rob, subtlety is lost on the internet, and I am the internet.
So if you want to know who I am, remember tomorrow we'll be talking about Brian's unwanted sexual harassment. No, we'll be talking about.
We don't have a PR. We don't have an HR department yet, do we?
No.
All right, you're good to go.
Let me be in charge. I'll handle it. Yeah, come tell me your problems, little girl. Tell you why you're. Tomorrow at 9 p.m. or 8 p.m. I'm the lead-in for the Art War. 8 p.m. we're going to be talking about whether or not we should be talking about the people who are doing dirty deeds in the industry. Is that okay? What does that mean? We're going to have a lively conversation about it. And I'll see you there on the Indie Volt Network. That's right. I'm all over the place. I'm like peanut butter. I get spread. I heard it. I can't take it back. It's been recorded, but I did. Yes, Brian. I heard it. It came out, and I liked it.
Mr. Anderson is the unboxable advocating creator known as the Devilish Comics creator who will tempt you with his devilish tales. He creates books about fetish, monsters, and more, and offers free spanks and hugs. He also teaches morals with farts. Check out the Comics Devil by going to MrAnderson.com. Be a pair, be professional, be ethical, be authentic, be respectful. Remember, in this industry for comics, be a pair. Art provided by Chris Mad. Look up Chris Mad Art on Facebook today.